Batman the Killing Joke is based on a highly influential short graphic novel from the late 80s, which is mostly, to this day, known as the one where Barbara Gordon gets shot by the Joker, tragically ending her career as Batgirl, but beginning her career as Oracle, which many say is the character's best iteration. Of course, there's a lot more to the sometimes controversial but almost always acclaimed book, such as A Definitive Joker Origin, while also cementing the fact that the Joker has no defined origin, with the flashbacks giving you an excellent take on who he might have been and how he became what he is, but also showing us that the Joker's own memory is not only unreliable, but it's unreliable on purpose, that the extent of his madness is so much that he prefers to keep the past multiple choice. The main crux of the story is that after shooting Barbara, the Joker undresses her, poses her in twisted ways, and photographs her, kidnaps her father, Commissioner Gordon, and uses a mixture of torture, isolation, and the photographs to try and drive him mad. It also explores the relationship between Batman and the Joker, with the two eternal nemeses locked in a struggle that Batman feels will eventually turn lethal. And as he doesn't want to die, nor does he want to kill, he desperately tries to reach behind the Joker's madness and come to some sort of understanding. The animated movie is all of that and a lot more, and that is the problem with it. The graphic novel is short, and the entirety of it is represented in this movie, but only makes up about half of its runtime. The rest is additional scenarios to pad out the length. The entire first half of the movie deals with Batman and Batgirl on a case with a possibly sociopathic criminal who has an obsession with Batgirl. Batman seems to want to keep her away. I get the feeling that maybe they were going for him wanting to prevent this guy from becoming her Joker. But when the actual Killing Joke section of the film starts in halfway through, it's so drastically divorced from the first half that I almost forgot about it. This is literally two stories welded together. The characters are also wildly out of character in the first half, with Batgirl and Batman being in a weird sort of relationship that seems defined by sexual tension that has no place with these characters, culminating in Barbara willingly choosing to end her career as Batgirl rather than becoming like Batman, which takes a lot of the punch out of her life-changing injury. I get why there had to be extra content, I really do, and I also get why it had to largely involve Batgirl. With the comic, this was seeing a beloved character getting shot and crippled, ending her superhero career. But without countless prior volumes to establish Batgirl, why would the viewer of this standalone film care so much? So it seems right to establish the character and make her likable first, but instead of making her likable, they made the whole thing creepy, with Batgirl really just being a superhero to get herself into a sexual relationship with Batman, and oddly enough, Batman reciprocates, though it's under enough duress to be really uncomfortable when it does happen. Barbara giving up the hero gig changes the dynamic. The Joker doesn't suddenly and randomly end her career. She ends it herself, and the Joker just shoots her because that's the way it had to happen. It can't come as a surprise to me, but there's a difference in the magnitude of impact of crippling a former superhero and crippling a current one. That being said, the actual Killing Joke parts are fairly close to the original, with only bits and drabs of dialogue changed here and there, but as I said, it's wildly divorced from the rest of the film. The villain established in the first half, Paris Franz, doesn't appear and isn't even mentioned in the second half, and the Joker doesn't appear and isn't even mentioned in the first. The animation is of a really poor quality, which is a shame because DC animated features usually look pretty great and flow pretty well, but this one comes off as cheap. The movie is an exercise in failure. It fails to establish Batgirl as a likable character, it fails to get anyone to care when she's paralyzed, it fails to come close to looking like the graphical novel in any meaningful way, and it fails to even animate well. The only single positive is the voice acting, with veterans Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Tara Strong, but you can hear their voices in many other animated Batman films that are entertaining and better to look at. Batman the Killing Joke is uncomfortable, cheaply done, misses the point of the graphic novel, and welds on an unrelated story arc in awkward ways to pad out the length and possibly to justify getting someone as good as Tara Strong. I give it a 2 out of 10.